because the
Oof.
Goldbergs,
Oh.
honestly, after 10 seasons, are getting a little bit bamboozled, if you ask me. Yeah, I said bamboozled, because apparently after the season 10 ending happened, they weren't told they were canceled until like 2 days afterwards and 2 days before their wrap party. So they shot the whole season and that was it. And they went home thinking, oh, we're going to come back for a season 11 probably, and then they were done. And then the writers themselves too were saying this is a big thing they didn't know, which is huge on them, because the show started back in 2013. After 10 seasons, you think you'd be able to give it a good finale, and they didn't have the opportunity they wanted. So they did a little bit of clip, a little bit of like going back in time and showing some things and doing a little montage, which works. It works really well.
They
But they said,
did what they could work with, that
yeah,
was it.
that's all they could do. But they said if they had their druthers, though, they would have had Erica with a new husband and a baby. They would have had Beverly potentially finding someone new to fall in love with, Adam getting a girlfriend and then driving off into the future, Barry getting married. There's a lot of things they wanted to see. They wanted to see the children when they were young and then grow up to become old, and they weren't able to do that. And that was the idea from day one. And it's like unfortunate that they had an idea that would have been a great ending, and it worked what they did. I watched the little montage at the end. It worked, but honestly, it would have been better for them to know they were going into. It's always better to know you're going into your last episode. Were you a fan of this at all, Jacob? Did you watch the Goldbergs?
Oh yeah, I was a huge fan of it, especially when it first started. I really enjoyed it for those first, 4 to 6 seasons. It did start to get a little procedural, even sitcom. I mean, sitcom's formulaic. It's a necessity that we all have when it comes to those type of shows. But I like those shows and I really enjoy them. And what I really liked about, the Goldbergs was the fact that it was all in the 80s. It followed this kid who was obsessed with film and, was a huge nerd, and just the way it covered pop culture at that time. It was really funny to me. The cast was amazing. It dwindled near the last, I'd say 2 to 3 seasons, but I still watched it. I would still put it on, check it out. And so I watched the finale just the other night and I didn't realize, I was like, oh, the show just ended. Like, that's how I found out. I was like, this looks like a finale, like a show finale. But the episode itself was, just an episode. There was nothing special about it. Other than, it was talking about Back to the Future, which was a great,
Back to the Future,
interesting way to end it on. But, I'm upset because, like I said earlier, as a fan, I did want some kind of special episode. Like the creators had an idea for this. They knew what they wanted to do for an ending. And if they had just been aware or had been told sooner, they could have done that instead. And I think that would have been nice as a fan. But I'm hoping maybe if, we throw up enough fuss and by the time the strike is over and people are hungry for work, maybe they'll give us like a little special hour movie, Goldberg's finale. That would be kind of cool. There's always potential for that with some of these sitcoms that get canceled. They'll do those little special videos at the end. So maybe that'd be nice. But
because
I just a little upset that like it just ended. I was like, really, this is it? Like, I know I didn't really care that much in the last 2 seasons, but I was still here. I was still watching. Give me something worth my time that I invested. like, what are you gonna do?
Give me a spin-off ending.
Yeah, don't give me a Walking Dead bullshit ending. Like, come on now.
Well, Walking Dead's not done. We know that. I mean, they got 3 spinoffs coming too.
I'm done with it. I don't want to watch 6 different shows just to know what's going on. I'm good.
You gotta watch In Paris and London.
This is coming from a horror fan too. So what does that tell you?
I know, right? Sabrina, were you a fan of the Goldbergs? Are you? What do you think about this ending idea? Think they should have had that idea, or do you think it's fine having this little clip show at the end and wrapping it up?
I never really got into the Goldbergs, if I'm being perfectly honest. I do think that they were all very talented cast. I hate the fucking 80s, to be perfectly honest. I know you love the 80s, but the fashion is abysmal. The music was not great. Like, it was just, it's like for me, a lost decade. Like, if you pick any other decade, it's better, in my opinion, than the 80s was. It's just not my favorite. Again, cast is great. I really hate it, and you know that.
I do.
That's a totally fair statement. The 80s is dead. Let's be done with it.
Yeah, it's like a bye Felicia with the 80s. But I'm not surprised, to be perfectly honest. Like, the George Segal or however you say his last name, who played the grandpa, passed away, and then they had this whole thing with Jeff Garland where they made him die. So like, you have 2 characters dying in a very short period of time. Main characters that were staples of the show, and then they like have this last season without them. Like, I mean, you can't really expect a show to have gone on for that many seasons and you lose 2 of the main cast members and everyone's gonna be like, yeah, ever knew that again. Like, I mean, it makes sense to me that it didn't go again, honestly. And I don't really know. what happened with the whole Jeff Garland situation. Chris says that it went downhill after they got rid of him. I don't know exactly what happened with that, but I feel like that is a big part
Well,
of it. Like he was gone, the grandpa was gone.
He was
And
raunchy. He was raunchy on set. I worked on the Goldbergs a lot. He was raunchy, but it was his comedic kind of thing. And I think he thought he was funny. And I guess some of the crew members didn't think it was funny. Same thing we talked about what happened on that Mystic Quest too, where one of the actors, where Dardal on there was saying some jokes and the showrunner had him fired, And the same thing happened with Garland, but it was going on for a long time because I worked in the
creepy
Goldbergs.
old dudes. That's what you're saying. They're creepy old dudes.
I thought
They're
Jeff
creepy
was
old
funny a
dude
lot of
syndrome.
times because I worked in there for a whole season. I thought he was funny, but I do see the problem. I mean, a man walking around in his whitey tighties doing inappropriate jokes, could be kind of weird. It's already an awkward situation as it is.
Was that his wardrobe though?
It was his wardrobe. Yes, it was his wardrobe.
Let's not be weird
But
about
I mean,
that.
it
He
adds
dresses on the show. Yeah.
It adds an element to the show, the weirdness already. You know what I mean?
He's a comedian. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but also, like, I don't know. If I watch a show and I love all the cast members and I'm used to all the cast members, if you take two of those integral people away, I'm gonna have a hard time watching it. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. But I mean, I just really thought that the cast overall was great. Barry, the guy who played Barry Troy, was awesome. Such a fun guy. I know I've said it before, but I used to stand in for him, and he'd be like, "Hi, Paul Rudd." Every time I come on set, I'm like, "Hey, Barry. Hi, what's going on?"
My last show filmed next to the same stage that the Goldbergs were filming on this final season that they were filming.
Sony?
And you would see the guy who plays Barry, you'd see the woman that plays the older sister walking the lot and like throwing hacky sacks around. The crew would come out.
So
like,
nice.
They looked like they were having a ball. Like it actually looked like a show that would be fun to work on. Like they just seemed genuinely happy to be there, having a good time. And like, the ADs would come outside to wrangle them up and they'd all act like little kids and run around and like panic. Like, oh no, we're busted playing hacky sack outside. Like it was just silly, but it looked so fun. I was like, wow, they look like they're having a great time. And I had to go back to work.
They threw a pizza at a PA because it was not the pizza that he wanted.
That's a dick move.
That's a dick
move.
move.
Do anything but
That's
work their ass off.
I worked on Curb Your Enthusiasm a couple times, and he was hilarious. Like a lot of it is improv. Like they kind of just give you an idea for a scene, and you have to go in there. And I was standing in, and it was the only time ever in the history of working on any show that I did not leave set. I smoked at the time, and I wasn't going out and smoking cigarettes. I just wanted to watch them. Every take was different. Every take was hilarious. They were all super nice. So I'm not. I don't have any personal bad experience with him. He was a pleasure when I worked with him back, but this was like a long time ago before Curb Your Enthusiasm went away and then came back. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not surprised that it's over. That's all I'm
Yeah, me either. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's had its run. 10 seasons is a long time.
And like especially for a sitcom. That's a long time.
Sitcom. Everybody else, situational comedy. What's the situation? Throw that cast in there and create the comedy. That's all it is. So that's just how it worked. It's been a working formula for years, and it worked for them for 10 years. And again, you have two main characters gone. At this point, it was time for the show to move on. They had problems in the past too, where it almost went away and it kept going. Like Sabrina said, like Jacob saying, the cast were awesome. The crew were great. They were so much fun. They had short hours. They had blasts. They joked around. Everyone helped each other. It was a great environment, if you ask me. So whatever Jeff was doing later on, because I was there like season 7, season 8, something like that. And whatever he did beyond that in season 9, whatever happened, and crazy shit happens in Hollywood. And unfortunately, this show did not get the fitting ending it deserved because after 10 seasons, it should have had it and didn't get it.
This was the 10th season?
Yep, 10th season. Yep.
Wow.
And I
right?
figured it was going to be ending. I felt that it was ending, and I was like, it's got to be ending. And surely they should have known too. They should have had that feeling. But again, it was a big show that ran for so long. Like they just probably assumed like, oh, just get renewed again. But it's in its 10th season. They usually start to dwindle around 9 and 10.
Yep. And that's
Modern Family ended at 11.
And then that was, it just becomes time to go, It just becomes, and a lot of the cast don't want to keep doing it too. That's always the thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Blackish made it to like 8, right? 7 or 8 or 9.
Yeah. I think it was 7. I think it was 7. We talked about Blackish the other day too. I think the spinoff got 6, which is crazy to me. I'm like, how did it get 6? Maybe it was 8 for Blackish. Because
that sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because I think it was 6 for the
They have
spinoff.
like 2 different spinoffs now.
Oh,
that's another thing too.
one.
The show got canceled early, and yet it has 2 spinoff shows that are still going.
I don't know. It drives. I never watched. I mean, I've seen
That's
episodes.
usually what they do. They'll end a show and then do a spinoff.
Yeah,
Like they
but
overlap the spinoff a year or two, and then they end it. So it actually
And
went
they-
longer than it normally
They tried
would.
doing a spinoff for the Goldbergs too. It just didn't go. They shot the pilot and it
Yeah,
just
the
didn't work out.
school
Yeah, it
days
was
or
about the
something like that.
principal and stuff.
I enjoyed it.
so-
I actually watched that show. I liked it because it was refreshing and it was set in the early 90s. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is nice.
It's fun. It's
It
so
went
different.
into the 90s and it worked. And I'm a 90s kid. So it's like, I get the nostalgia for the 80s and like, it's a fun time. And like, I grew up with all the leftover shit from the 80s, but like the 90s is my era. If you're going to start doing nostalgia shit, start doing the 90s.